Hi, Sarah.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good because you're here in person with
Yay,
me.
we're reading together. So exciting.
So today we're going to, as I pull things up here on my phone, today we're going to talk about screen time.
Hmm.
Screen time of kids, screen time around kids. I feel like it's a very big topic right now in motherhood when it comes to our kids. So we asked some of you on Instagram, which we're going to touch on a little bit. But we asked some of you, whether it was via text or on Instagram, about screen time, your thoughts on screen time, that kind of a thing. So give us a little of your knowledge thus far with screen time.
My knowledge or my opinion?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Like exactly, because that's kind of how it feels. I'll just go and start by saying I am probably one of the most conflicted people you can talk to about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before I was a mother, I was definitely one of those moms that was like, my child will have zero screen time until they are 16 years old when they can choose themselves to make the right decisions. And then and only then will I be parentally controlling their devices and their whatever.
Mm-hmm.
16, I said. Zero screens until 16.
Okay. And now,
And then
then it became a mom.
then I became a mom. But you know what? And I really stuck to my guns with it until I went back to work.
Mm,
When my daughter was first born, I was really strict about zero screens and zero screens around her. So if there were any adults, my husband, my parents, other family members, whatever,
yeah.
if they were on their phone near her, I would say to them, please get off your phone around Ramona or go to a different room or whatever if it's important. Like, please do not be on a screen. Please do not show her screens. Please, blah, 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 whatever. So that was good.
Mhm.
And I stayed really firm in that boundary and people really fought me on it. Like
Yeah.
really, really, really hard. Um, until I went back to work.
Mm.
And I'm a work from home, stay at home mom. So I work with my baby all the time, all day long.
Mm.
And when I adjusted from being, the maternity leave stay at home mom to the work from home mom, I very quickly became desperate for something to help, for some sort of help. And you want to know what? I was really good about keeping screens at a very bare minimum for her,
Mhm.
unless it was like a necessity for me. Like I needed
You needed her to be distracted.
for like a little bit, like I needed to take a meeting, like an impromptu meeting that wasn't planned. Because if I had meetings, I would plan them around her nap time. But at the time, before she was a year old, she had multiple naps. So I'm like,
Yeah.
great, that gives me some options. But as she got older, her naps became two, then one. I only had this very small window to take meetings at work and be productive at work. So then I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I introduced some screen time when she was about 1 year old. But all that to say is, I really had to stand firm on my beliefs about it. And my beliefs are this: there, there are a lot of studies that have been done in the recent years that talk about how developmentally immature babies are.
Yeah.
Until they're about 2 years old. And the stimuli that a lot of screens present to the babies is detrimental. And when someone asks me, okay, well, what does detrimental mean? Like, how is that going to hurt them if they see a screen before they're two? Well, it gives them trouble developing their focus. It gives them trouble developing sensory regulation.
Yeah.
Self-soothing techniques is a lot more difficult when you introduce screens at that young age because it becomes the only way for a lot of babies
Mhm.
to soothe themselves, to regulate themselves. So then when you eliminate that screen, because that's the first thing that they've learned as a coping mechanism to
Oh,
the
it
world,
causes an issue.
right? So when you eliminate that or it's not readily available to them, they have become so dependent on it so quickly
Mm.
that now it's a necessity for them to regulate themselves. And that's because, again, they don't have a nervous system to do it themselves,
Right.
you know? So I was very, very strict on my beliefs about it because I do come from a psychology background in my education, and I did a lot of research about children and their development. So these were the things that I had consumed. And, at the end of the day, it's just easier said than done.
Of course.
So,
So I was similar to you. With when I have a kid, you know, they're not going to be an iPad kid.
no.
They're, and granted, we both only have one kid each, right? So this can change even whenever another child comes along. But before I had my son, I was very adamant about no iPads, no screens, not my kid. They're not going to be dependent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became a parent. I am a stay-at-home mom. And as he got a little bit older, closer to one, same kind of thing, I wanted him to have more interaction of someone also teaching him Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a teacher by nature. Um, so I wanted there to be different exposure
Yeah.
of different things, but also specifically Spanish. So it became, and still kind of is that, where if it's something for him to be educated or that kind of a thing. So we're not a full on no screen house, because then I started being like, well, I want to play something in the background. I spend so much time, just me and my child. I want something playing in the background, even if it's music, even if it's noise, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I have heard, you do see the studies that come out. It is harmful for your children to be on a screen all the time. I And before I say anything else, this is not a moment of shame for anyone if your kid does have a tablet at 2 years old, or you go out to dinner and you whip out your phone for them to be. This is not a moment of judgment. This is just us sharing our experiences and also sharing some of the information and the data that we've collected
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important to say, because there is a lot of shame around
Tons of it.
kids that are on screens or aren't on screens, or the backhanded, like, I'll take this over a screen any day, which I've said.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here to hold myself accountable to that also. But that being said, before kids, there was the kind of the judgment.
Yeah.
And then now having a kid, I think I still have, I'm going to say the not fun part, but I think I still have a little bit of judgment. But it's not on the child. It's, I think, on the parents.
Yeah.
Because we do have a lot of tools available to us as a generation of moms.
Yeah.
We have a lot of tools available to us to be able to teach our children. There is like low stimulation. There's a creator I recently found on YouTube, and he teaches children patience through gardening.
Oh.
And he comes on and he like does the explanation of things growing, and however he can
What's happening?
garden.
Just because, again, here we are, we're exchanging,
Yeah.
screen time
Mhm.
options, because I'm like, oh, gardening. I love gardening. Oh, low stimulation. Great. I'm going to show this to
I'm
my
gonna say, if I have to look it up on YouTube, I think, because I don't remember his name exactly, but that is something I am geared towards. Again,
Yeah.
my child is not in daycare.
Mhm.
We don't have a ton of family involved in his everyday care.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even so, like, whenever family is there, everyone ends up on their phones.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm navigating that right now, because I realized how much as adults we spend time on our kids. And that's what I was gonna say, that like, I'm not judging you as a parent so much as as an adult, we spend so much time on our devices in front of our kids. And so how much of that is creating our children to be addicted to that? Because even if you're not on your phone often, if the TV is always on or there's always noise, when do you allow them to self-regulate. When do you self-regulate
Right.
as an adult? Like, are you self-regulating
Right.
that you constantly need noise at all times to be able to get anything done?
Well, you and I were talking about this last night a little bit as we were talking about prepping for this episode. And you were talking about this point where there always has to be sound on, whether it's music or TV in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought about it for a second when we were texting, and I was like, when I'm in silence, I actually feel more more stimulated than when I have something playing in the background, when something else is happening in the background. Because to me now, silence has become a trigger of, oh, something's not right. Something's not right. My environment is not how it normally is because it's too quiet. So then that allows my anxiety to start bubbling up, and which is silly because normally you would think that quiets and downtime of that sort with no stimuli would be
It will
calming,
relax you. Yeah.
but now it's doing the opposite,
Yeah.
which is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And it becomes even a little bit more complicated to the point of, well, all the adults in our children's lives are on screens of some
Their
sort
devices all the time.
all the time. And you want to know what? I am in front of my child
Same.
40 hours a week. I'm on my laptop working, and I don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
So it's like, they call it phubbing, I think. It's PHUBBING when you're on your device around your child. There's like a whole term now. And yeah, well, but it's important because we have to identify what the action is, and the action is consuming content or, having our attention on something else while our child is present.
Yeah.
It's a real problem.
Yeah.
The children consuming the screens is becoming less of a problem than the phubbing is. The phubbing is more detrimental to the kids than them actually consuming screen time.
Yeah, because we're not present.
We're not present. We're distracted, and we're teaching them that this is how you interact with others.
That's a good point.
We're teaching them that whatever we are looking at, whatever we are consuming, is more important than they are, is more important than being present in the moment with another human being. That's what we're teaching them from such a young age.
Wow.
And I can sit here and be like, damn, that's freaking awful. But what choice do I have when I have to work 40 hours a week and I do not have support?
Right.
So I'm phubbing with my child 40 hours a week. And she could be tugging on my pant and being like, Mommy, read a book. Or, Mommy, play. Play toys. Play toys. That's what she's been asking. And I have to say no.
Yeah.
I have to say no, Mommy's working, and go back to looking at my screen.
That really plays into like, well, I mean, again, the lack of village, right? Because you don't have I don't want to say reliable childcare, but you
I don't.
have
Yeah, I don't have reliable childcare.
you don't have reliable child.
I don't have consistent childcare. I do have family members that come in and out sporadically that will help me,
Yeah.
but it's not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't have reliable childcare in the way of like I can give her a structure
Yeah.
for when there's
Whereas there's like a separation. You're able to do a separation of screen time. So for me, it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same. I read after my child was like a year old, I read something that was like, instead of focusing on napping when they nap, do things that you can't do when they're awake. So the idea is centered around like, don't waste their whole nap cleaning. Don't waste their whole nap like folding clothes or whatever. Because if you can, every child is different, but if you can do those things while they're awake, you should.
Yeah.
So I have pushed more to do things that I can't do when it's nap time. But sometimes I've started to tailor that towards screen time. If I need to do editing, I try to do that while there's nap time, because for the same reasoning of, I don't want him to think that, being on a screen, being focused on the screen is an all the time thing or it's a necessity. I want him to be able to interact with everyone that's there. And I can see that being more of an issue when there's other family members around because as adults, and this is something I know we want to touch on a little bit, we spend a crazy amount of time on screens. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't spend a lot of time on my phone. Okay. What about your TV?
Mhm.
Because I know I have people in my personal life that we're all very quick to cast judgment of other people's screen time,
Mhm.
right? And then it's like, okay, but how much time are you spending on a computer? How much time are you spending with the TV on?
Yep.
Like it's it's always interesting to me. There are people who from the moment they wake up and they come downstairs or they go to their living room, the TV is on.
Yeah.
So their
Immediately.
TV is on for 12 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of a working mom, a work from home mom, things are very different. Um, I think that kind of a solution is something that we need to seek out in a longer term. But the consistency of us shaping these young minds of like we always need something in the background, and then you send these kids to school and they want them to sit still for 8 hours. How?
They never learned how.
They don't know how, and they don't know how to regulate that.
Yeah.
They don't know how to regulate that, and I I think as I'm telling you this, I feel like motherhood is teaching me so much more about myself than it is even about
Hmm.
my child because we're essentially learning to self-regulate.
Yeah.
We're learning to maybe we should be alone with our thoughts a little bit. Why does that feel overstimulating? Or
Mhm.
why does it feel like you can't get anything done?
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
And I had someone I reached out to someone for like their thought process. And one of the first thing that came out of her mouth when it came to screens was I think children who don't have any screen time at home, they face a disadvantage.
Okay. I have a story after you're done with that.
And I actually want to read it.
Yeah.
I want to read the text with because I have her permission.
Mhm.
Um, so their thought process was, I'm not against screen time. I actually believe parents who don't allow any screen time cause a detriment to their children, considering we live in an era where we are surrounded by technology. I want to stop right there.
Mhm.
So I agree with this probably 80 to 90%. I do believe we live in a tech world.
We do.
So teaching our children to not use technology can set them up for a disadvantage when they go to school and they go to maneuver through these tech advancements. I did recently see a study that the state of California pulled all of their iPads from schools.
Yes. I saw that too.
They pulled them. It's not in that way. It's not working. It's not working for children to be on screens all the time. Um, so the next part of this is, their family goes through a different balance of school, work, play, and screens sometimes get too much, and we need to scale it back. I think that's an honest admission of being like, we go through waves of this.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're like so tied up in school, we don't really touch the screens, and then we go through a season where we're constantly on our phones. I think that's a great admission because as moms, we we just are we have our hand in everything in our households, right? So we recognize that sometimes there's a little bit more screen time than not. And I think it's honest to say, like, scaling it back.
I think it's honest too, and I think also we need to acknowledge that sometimes, there are there are en I'll just go out and say, because it's top of mind, environmental factors that go into it,
Hmm.
especially if you live in a state like ours where we have very harsh winters, we can't be outside for 6 months of the year. Or right now, when it's summer and we have wildfire and air quality alerts telling you not to go outside, it's like, "Okay, well, what am I gonna do with my very anxious toddler that's sitting around and needs to run around and do something or whatever while I'm being forced to be inside?"
Yeah,
You know?
it's an environmental factor for sure.
Sure, and, like, screens is an easy way to fill that time. It's not the only way, but it's an easy way,
Yeah.
especially when you're a mom who's got a lot on their plate in that moment in time.
Yep. And then this one I thought was very interesting, and I am gonna pause after I read this one because I do want us to talk about it. They said, I think children need to learn to function with screens in the room and on, almost like background noise. I have personally seen children who get no screen time literally be catatonic when they go somewhere with a TV on.
Yes. That's how my daughter was when I first introduced her to a screen at
Yeah.
around 1 year old. She was catatonic. Like, I could not.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this.
Yeah, I could not. And it was Miss Rachel that I had put on for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Miss Rachel. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
think her program is very educational.
Mm-hmm.
And I too am trying to teach my daughter Spanish, so I'll put on Miss Valet too. You're the one who taught me about her,
Yeah.
which is like a Spanish version of Miss Rachel. But when my daughter first started watching TV, she was hooked. Like I couldn't, like, there was nothing I could do that could distract her
Yeah.
from the screen. It was so, I don't know. I was so uncomfortable by how, to your, but the word, the best word I can use is catatonic.
Yeah.
She was. It was so disturbing to me.
I remember being worried about it also because my son, same thing. He would look at it and he was just like stuck. And
Mhm.
I think I was a little bit confused because I saw at the time, it felt like in that newborn bubble and then like beginning to like become a 1 year old, a lot of people were playing Dancing Fruit on YouTube for this
Yes.
kid.
I remember with the black background.
And my kid could have cared less.
Yeah, mine didn't care either.
He did not care about that.
Yeah.
Um, which I mean, honestly, I don't think was a bad or a good thing. It was just like it came and it went, because that was such a small blip in time. On the same topic, though, I have noticed that if we go somewhere and the TV is on, if there isn't something playing for kids, or if there's other kids playing, he won't sit. He won't sit to like watch.
Yeah, mine too.
He's more like, I want to do what everyone else is doing. I don't want to sit to watch. I don't want to,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. I do think it's very interesting, this part, um I think children need to learn to function with screens in the room and on. And I think this is interesting because I think when we bring children into the world, I am a believer that they come into our world. We don't necessarily need to make the world
Cater to them.
cater to them because I feel like that creates a false sense of what the world really is.
Mhm.
That's not what it is in the real world.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't disagree. We need at some point, we do introduce our kids to computers and laptops and that kind of a thing because we've had to be exposed to them in school and things like that. But I do offer the counter question of, do we have that much of an emphasis of teaching children that it's okay to sit in silence or with low stimuli?
No.
We don't have that same emphasis. I feel like everyone goes to bad work. I feel like it's important. They need to learn screens. It's a technology world, etc. But are we also teaching them to be able to sit in a little bit of silence, to just play or have something low? Like, obviously classical music is a good brain stimulator, especially at that age, where it studies show it stimulates that part of their brain that does math and does like different studying and things like that. That is more helpful than the random episode of Miss Rachel, who I love.
Yes.
But again, that is helping in that regulation. So how come we don't have the same push?
I think it's because technology has consumed our lives.
Yep.
I had a conversation with my dad, and I need to share some background about my upbringing. Because when I was young, we grew up in a very interesting time where, like, at the beginning of our childhood, we had no screens in the capacity that we do now.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we had TVs in the household.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have iPads. We did not have phones. Not everybody had a smartphone.
There was no smartphone.
There was no smartphone until we were like high school-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And when the iPhone started to come out, I really wanted it. Like,
Yeah.
I was so desperate for the iPhone, and not too many people in my grade had one. Like, everyone had a flip phone, or one of those, like,
Younger than you, so that does make sense.
yeah. Yeah, like a little slidey phone or whatever.
The sidekick.
The Sidekick, yes,
I
yes.
get bored.
Everybody.
Okay.
Or the BlackBerry, like, that was the
Mhm,
thing. But when the iPhone came out, that's what really piqued my interest. So I went to my parents, I was like, "Mom, Dad, I got a shitty, like, walkie-talkie Nokia phone, okay? Like, it's time for your girl to have a real smartphone." And they looked at me dead in the face and they're like,
Get out of my face, girl.
"No." They said no. What they actually said was, "If you want a smartphone, you can get a job and pay for it yourself."
Amen.
And that I did.
Mhm.
I got myself a job at 16 and I got myself an iPhone.
Go off.
Mhm. And my dad at the time was like, "That is not a necessity, that is a luxury.
Oh.
You do not need a smartphone. There's no need for you to have a smartphone." Fast forward to today. And before I had a baby,
Mm.
like I said, I was on the camp of my kid will never have a smartphone. Ba, 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 ba. They'll still
Kind of feel that way, but that's
yes. And I still feel this way. And I am using my dad's parenting when I say my kid will never have a smartphone until they're old enough to pay for it themselves.
I'm sticking to that.
Me too. Do you know what my dad said when I told him that?
What did he say?
He said, "Why are you going to handicap your child?
Wow, how the tables have turned.
Why are you going to handicap your child by limiting her access to smart devices because our whole world is run on smart devices now?" He's like, "You're going to handicap her by doing that." And I looked at him for a minute. I needed a minute to process what he had just said because I'm like,
Wait a minute, that's not the same
Sir,
that raised me.
"Sir, that is the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth."
Mm.
However, it's not hypocritical. It's my dad actually evolving with the times and with the advancement of technology. And
Mm.
in that moment, I was really proud of him
Yeah.
because that is what a really solid parent does. Like, they assess their world
Yeah.
and what's necessary in the world and how it goes around and how it functions and what have you.
Yep.
And when I was 16, the world did not revolve around the smartphones
Right.
like it does now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Ramona was 16 right now, my dad feels that she should have a smartphone because otherwise she would be handicapped in the world. And I think handicapped is a strong
Word. Mm-hmm.
way to
She could be at a disadvantage. I
sure,
can see that.
sure. I do agree with him that the world that we live in now versus when I was a teenager is fundamentally different because of
100%.
technology.
Yeah.
I don't know that introducing her to a screen now when she's almost 2 years old in that
No.
way is necessary though.
No.
And here's why. Developmentally, even though she's 2 and the studies are like, well, no 0 screen time before 2, which
Whatever.
um there is no like what need does she really have for the screen time?
Yeah.
That's the question that I keep asking myself. Like, why does she need screen time? It's not because she needs it, it's because I need it.
Yeah, because you need to work. You
I need
need
to work.
get whatever you need to get
Mhm.
done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's also going back to one of our other episodes that we talked about with comparison
Mm.
because a lot of kids are watching her age are watching Miss Rachel, Miss Ballet, like all these educational things, and they're learning so fast.
Yep.
My daughter is very well spoken for her age
Mhm.
to the point where the pediatrician has pointed it out to me like, oh my God, she's very, very far beyond like for her age group.
Right.
And I have to say, I think it's because she watches a lot of Miss Rachel. She watches a lot of shows that are engaging in that way for speech language pathology and all that stuff. Like
Mhm.
she watches a lot of SLPs online, and I think she's really developed a lot of language because of that.
Because of it, yeah.
And I've also like, when she's watching, and when I'm working, I'm not just a zombie there. Like I'm trying to engage as much as I possibly can. I'm co-watching with her.
You're being a good mom.
I'm trying my best to I'm not just like plopping her in front of a TV and calling it a day. Like I'm trying to be like, oh, a cow says moo. Look at the cow.
Mhm.
How many cows are there? Like I really try my best to do that. So I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of all of those things causing her to be so developmentally far ahead in language.
Right.
But then, I have other friends who are around my daughter and they don't have as much screen time
Mhm.
and they are nowhere near as capable verbally as she is.
Right.
And they go to me like, how did you do it? What's wrong with my kid or my parenting
Oh,
that
comparison game. Yeah.
that they're not where she is? Like if she can do it,
Yeah.
why can't he?
Mhm.
You know? And I think it's a direct result of the screen time. And it just is perpetuated by the comparison. So that encourages other people to implement screen time as a necessity for the child.
Yeah.
When is it really necessary for them to know all of their colors at 1 year old? Why is that a necessary thing?
I I wanna kind of piggyback on that because so number one, I've been guilty of the comparison.
Who isn't though?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that, of like, well, their kid this. And even it usually happens when I get around other people who have kids similar in age, but more so like just watching people out and about, watching other people's kids out and about. And I'm like, oh, well, is he a little bit behind? Is he, is he supposed to be doing this? Is this something that, like, I remember, I think he was 15 months. And for some reason, after I put him to bed, I Googled, like, is he supposed to be telling me all his colors and shapes at this point? Like, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
And I Googled it and it was like, the range, I can't wait to tell you this. The range between that was like, well, they could be between 15 and 23 months.
That's a big range. That's a
And I'm like, so a year and a half to 2 years old. So, like, he's not behind in any capacity. He's in the window. He's at that point, he was 15 months, so he wasn't even 17 months yet. So I say that to say, I don't disagree with you. I think some screen time does enable, especially with the SLPs.
Mhm.
I think that's really important. It does help them say things, especially in programs like Miss Rachel. She does stop. She does speak to the kids directly. I think that's a
She
very
shows you the mouth shape of the way to properly say and pronounce things.
yep, and she'll say it several times
Mhm.
in a slow way, in a fast way, and she'll use it. So I do think that kind of programming is good.
Mhm.
Um,
But my point is it necessary for them to know this stuff at this age?
so going on that, every it seems to be every pediatrician follows exactly what they want to follow when it comes to the American
Yeah.
Pediatrician Association, the APA. There are some people who I have spoken to that their kid at 1 years old is doing XYZ, and they are like, yep, that's great. And that's kind of where they leave it. Where other doctors are like, oh my God, you should get them evaluated. Like, so it really is like many other things, like it's on a case to case basis. Um, is it absolutely necessary? No. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that where you think your child might be behind, I think one of two things happens. Either they go through a phase of bursts
Mm.
of essentially catching up. And the other thing is when they get to different environments and get around different people, and furthermore, go to a place like daycare or pre K or even just full on into school, you're going to know very quickly what it is that they do and don't know. And it gets fixed, or I say fixed very loosely. It sounds like anything's wrong with them, but it does get addressed very quickly.
Mhm.
And so if you are on the fence of that, of like, well, my kid is kind of behind, should I introduce screens? If your objective has been no screens up until this point and they are showing signs of growing and developing normally and all those things, go with what you're going with.
Yeah.
I did want to mention the last part of this message, and it is the nature of there's a difference in screen time with something like, and they said Elmo versus Coco Melon. I haven't watched Coco Melon. I don't know knowledge of Coco Melon, but I can say that there is a difference in watching something as productive as Miss Vale or Isa, Spanish YouTube, versus a different creator or different even cartoons that are not doing the same type of teaching. There is a difference in that kind of a screen time. Um, a lot of like what we received from you guys on Instagram was screen time can be a helpful tool. I do want to touch on the adult part. We're gonna get to that in a second, I think. Um, it's difficult to set apart from kids because of today's consuming world was something somebody said. Um, somebody said, I don't want it for my baby before 1, but it's hard to not be on my phone in front of her. That was an honest kind of submission because again, oh, I don't know if you guys heard that, but there is a little napping baby cooing in the background. Um,
Who's on my screen?
aha, look a screen.
A tool.
A tool. It is a tool. But that is an honest thing because we are living in a saturated world for screens. Um, and I have a few submissions here that I want to read. Babies in moderation and educational. Also, yes, it's been a day and you need a minute. So that's like one of the choices. As a parent, I am being more mindful about my screen time in front of my baby, especially now. They are getting older. This made me reevaluate how much I go on my phone in my free time. These last 2 submissions were for the kids, TV in the family room for low periods of time, lower stim shows and movies. And the last one here is toddler limited and desperation only. There again, the desperation.
Desperation only, yes.
Baby sneak peeks, adults as needed. We're busy all day.
I have one submission from my personal account that says, and this one is interesting because this person does not have children, but she said, bad for everyone. Use as a tool overall. Moderation is best. It's built to suck you in, no matter what kind of content you're consuming. It's a good segue into the adults stuff.
So I have someone who said, I can't speak for babies because I don't have any yet, but for adults, we can all cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this person sent me an entire submission of their own, but their short blurb was okay for children with parental control and time limits, which I don't disagree. Right now in this moment in my life, I don't have a second child. So I'm speaking from a very different experience from someone who may have more than one child. I don't have plans to get my kid an iPad
No.
or a tablet
0.
or
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's necessary. I don't see for what there's so many different things. Especially if we're home all the time. Like there's just I don't see the benefit for that.
I don't either personally for our family, but I will say my opinion has changed a little bit in the way that I view other parents who utilize them.
Yes.
So before I had kids, if I saw a kid at a restaurant, a baby at a restaurant with a phone or an iPad, I was like, what lazy parents. Ugh, such lazy parents. And now I'll be in the store with my kid kicking and screaming in the cart. I'm just trying to get the freaking groceries.
Yeah.
But I don't have an iPad. I'm not giving her my phone. Like, I'm just sticking to my guns on those things. And I'm like, man, I could be having
you with a screaming child.
Yeah, I do.
Ultimately, it.
But I'm like, ultimately, I could be having such a better experience if I just gave her my damn phone. So when I see parents at restaurants or I see parents in stores with kids in the cart or in the high chair with their screens, I'm like, damn, they must be going through it today. They really must need this moment of calm while they get what they need to get done at the store or while they have a freaking moment to have a meal in peace.
Yeah.
Like I can empathize with that. Like I know I'm not going to do it for my family, but I can I see them now. Like I see what they need.
I see their the environment
Yeah, like
differently than before I had a kid.
yeah. It's not my choice. I wouldn't do it. I'm just going to suffer because ultimately that's what it is. I'm choosing to suffer for the benefit of my kid.
But I also think, and I think this is the segue for us talking about adults and screen time. Um, someone made the submission before, and they're saying People are against screens, but they fail to notice that not providing it to our children also causes them to fall behind. So that's another mention of that. AI is growing and changing rapidly. It's the future, and our kids need to be able to adapt, use, and understand it faster and better than us. I don't disagree. My 2-year-old knows nothing about AI.
Yeah.
Could not. There's no rhyme or reason that him learning about AI. He doesn't. Even if I tried to teach him right now what AI is, he'd be like, "What are you even talking
But
about?"
what if he was 12? How would you feel about it if he was 12?
If he was 12, is a different understanding. I don't actually know how I would adjust to that at him being 12. Um, I will say that it's like anything else. I do think that we should set our children up for those tools to be able to be successful. Am I going to hand my kid a smartphone at 12 years old? No, because I got a prepaid phone when I was 13. And if I ran out of minutes, that was it. I didn't have it. And then when I was 16, and I wanted a phone and I wanted a plan phone because that was when you have free nights and weekends.
Mm,
My mom was like, I'm not paying for it.
right.
Go get a job.
Like, yeah,
So I got a job and I paid for it. And I've paid for my phone
me too.
since then.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like different, different world. Um, and I don't know what I'll do when he's 12, but I guess we'll address that when we're there. Like, I'm sure that there are people who are like, yeah, my kid is 12 and I'm still not giving him a phone because XYZ.
I have a friend who has a 9-year-old right now, 9-year-old girl,
Mm.
and she is very strongly debating giving her a smartphone right now
Yeah.
because
Because that's the nature of the world we live in. All the other kids have it.
exactly, that was her number one reason, but also that she's in a lot of extracurricular activities.
That's the second top reason for me.
Mhm. And, it's important for this mom to be able to reach out to her child or vice versa at any moment. And also be able to track them
Yeah.
because that's also the world that we live in. When we were growing up, we didn't have the Find My
We
whoever.
probably should have.
We should have, but we
Yeah.
absolutely did not have that. I'll call it a luxury because that's what it is for parents right now.
Yep.
To be able to, at a drop of a dime, be able to locate your child, at least locate their phone.
Yep.
And if we know the kids these days, those phones are attached to them at all times.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's very difficult to be a parent these days because you have to make these decisions of, well, are they old enough to handle a phone? And you know what? I think they are old enough to handle a phone by itself. Do they need a smartphone? No, no.
No.
But again, at the same time,
Most smartphones right now are a couple $100s.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. At bare minimum.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand also at the same time is like you want to give them a smartphone for the luxury of, hey, I can track them, or hey, like, they'll have access to whatever tool I need them to have, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I get that. I get where a lot of parents these days are torn on the phone thing. And then also to circle back to just screen time in general, I think you mentioned things like Coco Melon versus Miss Rachel. Yes, the content matters, but I also think the device itself matters. I think an iPad versus a phone versus a TV are very different things.
Oh, yeah.
They offer
Especially unsupervised.
sure, absolutely unsupervised. Yeah, for sure. Whereas like a phone and an iPad, given internet access and things like that
Yeah, no. Arcos.
are very scary. They're
Yep.
scary and they need more regulation than a TV. Not to say that no, that the TV doesn't require regulation, but or parental controls, but I think with smartphones, iPads, things that are connected to the internet like this really need a lot of intervention from the parents to be safe.
Mhm.
So,
So, segueing a little bit into adults and the screen time constantly around kids. This person made a point, and then I want us to kind of dabble in kind of what our thoughts are.
mm,
This person said, it depends. I make it a point to make sure I'm not on my phone during events, family time, or when we're in a group setting. I explain to my kids that it's important to be in the moment, but I also work a lot, and I explain to them that just because you see me on my phone, it doesn't mean that I'm scrolling on Instagram or watching YouTube. I think adults need to make it a priority that we're setting the example and communication is key.
yeah.
So I'll let you go first on your thought process of kids seeing you on your phone. specifically on your phone, because your experience is niche. You do work on a laptop during the day. So I'm speaking outside of work.
Okay. Outside of work, I think it's absolutely unnecessary.
Okay.
I think it's, first of all, as a person, if I am spending time with you, I think it's rude for you to be on your phone when you have committed to spend time with me.
Okay.
Like, it actually deeply hurts me when I feel very rejected when I'm with somebody who cares about me and they're scrolling on their phone. And you can tell when someone's scrolling on,
Yeah, when you're
when
just
they're just like,
yeah.
the bored look on the face, every now and again, like the little chuckle because you see something funny, and the thumb, the scroll thumb
Mm-hmm.
and the pinky hold, with the like this, like you holding the bottom of your phone with the pinky,
Fun fact:
scrolling.
anatomy of our bodies is changing because they hold our phones. If you're listening to this episode right now or you're watching, I want you to take a look at your pinky and feel the dip in that top knuckle. I learned that in college in a psychology class of how much the anatomy of our hands has changed
To hold a phone.
to hold a device. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But yeah, no, I do feel very rejected when when I have committed to spend time with somebody
Mm.
and they're just on their phone, because it just, to me, it feels like you care more about your dopamine hit
Dopamine hit.
more than spending quality time with a human being.
Yeah.
And like I'm a very busy person. Like I pack my schedule,
Yeah.
you know, forward and backwards. It's packed, So if I'm making the effort to make time for you, like
Mhm.
it really hurts me when I don't know, like you're distracted by a device.
Yeah.
And it hurts me even more when you are making time to see my kid and you're doing it in front of them too.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Come on. Like to me, that is just like, there are so many other ways that you can interact with human beings than to be on your phone.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of points of contention between my husband and I, and my parents and I, and
Mm.
friends and I, when I say, like I've said in the beginning of the episode, please don't be on your phone around my kid.
Yeah.
Put your phone away. And I don't want to be like the nagging parent or the nagging wife or the nagging whatever.
It's not just centered around, it's about your kid, but it's not just centered around that, right? Like you said, you feel rejected. So
I do. I genuinely feel a sense of rejection when the phone is more of a focal point than the time, the memories you're trying to create.
I have to say, um, to give my piece on this, um, I so for context, um, I'm a photographer and I'm a podcast host. I'm a co-host on this podcast and I have a different podcast. Some of the nature of those things is device time. It is screen time. It is, posting the reel. It is responding to the comments, responding to the messages. It is also the nature of my life. I live pretty isolated. I live for the most part, an hour and a half from 95% of everyone in my life. So on a day-to-day basis, I use FaceTime a lot.
Mm.
I do pick up the phone a lot. I do get random FaceTime calls from people. It is a part and nature of my life, and that's part of my village,
Mm.
basically.
Sure. Yeah.
That being said, um, I have started to feel even stronger about limiting that kind of interaction around my kid and even myself. And that being is because number one, I want to get back to in-person connecting. And I think that's going to be a push-pull with people making more time to drive out halfway to see me and me halfway to see them and whatever
Yeah.
that um occurs to be. But also, I don't want to show any child that I am more interested in spending time on my phone with, because that's ultimately what it turns into. I'm not talking to the person that's actually working on their device. I'm talking about all of us, the adults, who all we do is sit and scroll. And I have close family, immediate family, both in-law and my own immediate family, that there is just the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
It is. We all spend so much time without the connection of others that sending each other reels has become a form of communication on screens. And I could do a whole topic on that within itself about the source of communication and how screens are impacting our relationships. But very specifically, as a mom, I don't want my kid to think that that is the way we spend time with him. That it's he gets to sit and play and we roll on our phones. And yes, it doesn't take work and nervous system regulation that I don't want to always sit on the floor and play toys with him. I don't always want to. Not for any other reason other than mama sometimes needs to just be an adult. Like, mom just wants to be a person. She doesn't want to be mom. She doesn't want to be, you know, the parent in the situation. Like, I want to sit back for a moment.
Yeah.
But also, I started to notice that when he asks me to sit on the floor with him, he's not asking me to come play with him. He's not asking me to play with him. He's just asking me to sit there and be with him.
Mhm.
So because this space and time is so small, I'm like, yeah, I want to scale it back on the screen time and feeding that into my relationships of like, I also don't care for the dopamine hit. Like, if I scheduled a month out for us to meet for dinner, unless you get a phone call of some capacity, I don't want to see you on your phone.
Agree.
I don't want to see you on your phone in front of me. I don't want you picking up your phone again, unless there's something pending that like you didn't plan for because of whatever the nature
Or
of
like
the
you
situation.
communicate in advance, like, hey, like I'm tying up loose ends with XYZ. Like I just
Different thing, right?
yeah, like if you communicate like the need to use your phone, like that's something else. Yeah.
And to being present,
Yeah.
than to being present and sitting in that.
Yes. I agree. Agree. And I think it's like let's just call it what it is. It's an addiction.
Yeah, we're definitely, and I think that shows more in the kids.
And I'll be honest, like I feel it too. Like like what you just said, there are times when I'm not working and I'm solo momming and I'm there and she's playing and she's like, Mama, build blocks. I'm like,
I don't want to build blocks right now. It's okay. I guess that's the truth.
there are so many times where I would so much rather just scroll on my phone while she plays blocks on her own. And that's even sad to admit that like I still have that like feeling inside where I'm like, I would so much rather
Yeah.
scroll on my phone than spend quality time with my child. Like that's sad.
Who in like 5 years is probably going to
Not
be
gonna
some activity, and you're hardly going to see them because they're
Yeah.
at school and whatever.
Or in 10 years is not gonna want to.
Yeah.
Who's in 10 years, she's gonna be on the couch on her phone. No, not 10 years, but
Yeah.
like whatever. Like 15 years from now, she's gonna be scrolling on the phone herself and I'll be like, hey, you wanna go for a walk with mama? And she's like,
Absolutely not.
no.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's selfish, really.
Yeah.
That feeling. And I should feel bad for having that feeling because it is selfish.
Mm-hmm.
They're only so little for this amount of time, this small blip of time in your life. I feel like if you choose to have a child and you bring them into this world, like it is your responsibility
To be present.
to be present with them.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to fight the urge to want to just scroll on your phone.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to teach them, you know what? Yeah, this is what quality time looks like.
Yeah.
With somebody.
Because I read this thing recently, and I think you might have sent it to me on Instagram, and it was like, we have never before had a generation where our children were competing with the algorithm.
Yes.
And I would dare say that our children were also competing with mom's attention span on the TV versus them.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
because I did think about this. I'm like, well, what were our parents doing? 'Cause our parents had to have been overstimulated.
They had to have vices. And
There's
I
no
think
way.
about it too. My mom was always reading a book. She was escaping by reading a book. And like it was hard for me to get her attention sometimes because she was reading a book. And
Part of me, in hearing you say that, part of me feels better about.
why? It's still a distraction. She's still distracted. She's still choosing not to
Fair
spend
enough.
quality time with me.
Fair enough. That's where the difference is.
She's consuming content, a different kind of content, a different
Yeah.
kind of media, but she's still choosing
Yeah,
not to spend the quality time with me. So what is the difference?
that's fair.
If I'm outside in the garden, which I love to be outside in the garden, but my daughter's over it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, Mama, go for a walk. And I'm like, no, I need to finish watering the plants. Mama, water done. I'm like, oh, but it's still the same thing as me being like, oh, I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to scroll on my phone instead, right?
Yeah, yeah. It is the same thing. My point is, I think that feel like quote unquote better is obviously not giving up the quality time.
Yeah.
But I just meant it like we're losing the art of reading because of screens.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sitting there with a book and your kid notices, it's a different
That's true.
it's a different example that you're setting in front of your kid versus they constantly need the TV and they need to be stimulated by the TV. Because again, this was something that I thought of from my own experience. Like our parents were overstimulated. So what the heck were they doing then? Because there wasn't cell phones. And then I was like, well, there was always a radio in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And the radio station did play, but to the point where like the Sunday, boleros was playing in the background on whatever that station was.
It had the 12-foot corded
Right.
phone, landline phone.
Exactly. We had one of those. I remember my mom being like, throw this out. And then I caught her using it. And I was like, oh, wow, very interesting. Throw it out. But that's what they were seeking was a connection.
Yes.
So the news was playing in the background. So that was their source of like something playing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And the random times of the day that there was a novela or Jerry Springer and Marnie saying in the background. Or they played the radio.
Yes.
So the content has changed to some capacity, but also now the content is not meant to be just the simple background noise. And now it's meant to have you sit there and be plugged in and getting the dopamine hit show after show, episode after episode. And I think that's where we can be better.
Yeah.
I think right now, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, my kid has a tablet and we don't go anywhere without that tablet and that tablet is always charged or whatever. Listen, no judgment. How you choose to parent, how you choose to make it through the season of your life, that is your right and that is your choice.
Yeah.
I think as a whole, some of the things we can dial back on is how about the noise that we feel? Why don't we just go outside?
Yeah.
Because there's noise outside. The cars passing by, the birds, the music passing by, like still that noise. It's not 100% quiet. If the air quality is bad, which
The weather's bad.
or the weather is bad, we have to bring back the village of that way. It is saying, hey, such and such, what are you doing for dinner today? Do you want to meet for dinner or can I come over? And like we'll do bath time and then I'll just drive home. Like,
Can I tell you that I have a friend who lives very locally to me, and we do that at least once a week, where we'll get the kids together, we'll feed them together, we will bathe them together,
yeah,
and then we go our separate ways. So we get through that last wake window.
we need more of that.
Yes, because can I tell you, that's at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, is a lifeline.
As a savior. As a
It's a
savior.
lifeline for me.
Especially with,
And for her.
yeah. It's definitely a two-way street for that. So I think as far as the topic of screens and our kids and how it shows up for us as adults as well, I think the overall nature of this episode is,
We can do better. And we should do better.
and yeah, and it just starts with a few minutes chopped off the day here and
Mhm.
there. And
Mm.
a few minutes every day is a few hours at the end of the week.
Yep.
And I think that'll be definitely a change in pace for our
Mhm.
kids.
I think we also need to be open to change. I think we need to be more adaptable. I think.
And open to the effects, the long-term effects
Yes.
of the amount of screen time, both for our children and for our own nervous systems.
And I think we need to commit to continuing the research that's already being done, but also continuing to seek out the research.
Yep.
I think that's really important, especially as parents these days. Like, there's so many advances coming at us
Yeah.
from every angle all the
Mhm.
time, but it's our responsibility as parents to stay on top of it.
Yep.
Because things do change every day.
Yep. Every day.
Mhm.
Cool. So we hope to see you guys again in the next episode.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.